You're scheduled.
It's 5 o'clock Mountain Time. It's Thursday. It's time for Tom and Shane Business and Politics. And today we're going to talk about China and Russia versus the world. And going to be quite a conversation, Shane, because they used to be enemies. Now they're best friends forever. Xi of China, Putin of Russia. They've been meeting in Russia. They're going to be meeting in China. These guys are going to start taking vacations together, shirts off, riding horses. The end of the world is on its way. The end of the world is near.
Well, if you look at the history of this, let's just use Korea as an example of China and Russia against the world. So, World War II ends in Europe. Stalin doesn't do anything more other than take over, the rest of Europe, and then he doesn't do anything. He doesn't attack Japan anywhere. He attacks, he attacks Japan in Korea because he's got a 15-mile border.
Mm-hmm.
And so he goes into Korea and knocks the Japanese out, and we know what happened after that. So then you look at the longest rail line in the world is from Korea's capital, all the way to Moscow, and then you look at North Korea has nothing going on for it. So to get assistance from both Russia and China, he's testing their nuclear equipment and bombs and whatever else that they wanted to do. Mm-hmm. So, in that sense, that's what you would probably see with anyone else. Now, if they want to deal with the tyrants of the world and back them and pay them and, build in their countries, and great. Because the most important thing that came out of the meeting between Putin and Xi was that they agreed that they would use the Wont to do trading. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to create a sovereign currency, and they'll use the Wont to trade with people in Africa, as you said, South America, and anywhere else. Mm-hmm. Well, good luck with that. I mean,
that's not going to happen. I mean, they can do that as much as they want, but nothing like that is going to.
That's right.
Is going to occur. So,
and
Nancy joins us. Hello from Roundup. Nancy's with us.
Nancy, yeah. Look, China is still a developing country. It's not a first world country. They'd like to think of themselves as, but they're not, because they only have a 25 or a 1/3 of their population in a middle class. The rest of it's lower class. I mean, they've got upper lower class. They just lower.
They've got cheap labor.
Well, or slave labor, however.
They got slave labor. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and everyone's moving out because they've been there for 30 years. The plants are all worn down, and she's locked his people up for 4 years to see how easy it would be, because if he decides to do something stupid about Taiwan, I mean, the world will turn their back on him. No one in their right mind would buy anything from China ever again. I mean,
well, I would tell you why that's wrong, Shane. Okay. That thinking is wrong, and I'll tell you why. Because if that were true, Putin attacking Ukraine, everybody would have turned their back on Russia, and they haven't. Nobody has.
Well, it's a commodity-based country. It's got the world's largest diamond production. It's got the world's largest. Not natural gas, but it produces a major amount of natural gas and oil. Mm-hmm. Not much forestry because they don't have the.
Now you talk about China, or you talking about Russia?
We're talking about Russia.
Yeah.
So it's like looking at what happened with Credit Suisse and USB. I mean, those banks have been around since 1864 and 1862 and 1865. And the big wang on both those banks were the safety deposit boxes for the last 170 years.
How do we go from Russia?
Well, I'm going to explain that. So the problem that both the Russians and the Chinese have is American dollars. I mean, what do we do with them? I mean, we say we don't want them, but we need them. Yeah. We want to challenge it. The sovereignty of the mahogany of the United States. Good luck. I mean, no one's going to give up American support American products, American benefits, American money, American architecture, American technology to
Mhm.
just deal with China or Russia. No,
Yeah.
no.
Okay. Well, the other point that I want to make on that is Putin has been charged with war crimes, and if he goes to certain countries, I guess theoretically he could be arrested. I doubt if he would be, but he could be, I guess, because the world is entirely wimps, made up of wimps now. But where's the Security Council? I can't spell five apparently, but five permanent members.
I'll give you a fiver. It's all money though. It's made of plastic. You may not
Yeah,
want it.
right. Yeah. Well, I mean, where's the UN coming down on Russia for invading another country? I mean, they weren't attacked. They're not defending themselves. What's the deal? Where's the UN on that? And
Well,
as you know, each of these guys have veto power, so it only
that's
takes
right.
one to veto anything.
Well,
You know,
Russia didn't a couple of weeks ago, or whenever the UN finally wanted to pass something against the invasion of Ukraine by
Mhm.
Russia. They just didn't vote. They
Yeah,
didn't vote
well, that's what I
for it.
mean. Yeah,
No, but so it passed. You're right.
yeah,
So
yeah. They could have
I,
vetoed it, but it didn't. But they didn't. Yeah.
yeah, I really believe that China is in a real mess. I've been saying this for a year now.
Mhm.
I'm concerned with it because I think that I'm surprised Xi left China. There's already been one coup attempt.
Mhm.
I'm surprised that Putin would go to China because it's like the great leader leaving North Korea. Somebody else is likely to take over, right?
Yeah, well, she went to Russia, I believe.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
just went to Russia and he's
Now,
back
I'll
home
tell you,
already.
I noticed something very interesting when the two of them were sitting there, Shane. You saw the photo op where they're sitting in chairs, sort of semi-facing each other, sort of.
Right.
And I noticed that Putin, his hands were just draped over the arms of the chairs, and she was hanging on to both arms. So I don't know
Yeah.
how comfortable he felt there, but
Exactly. It's one of these strange relationships. There'll never be a bromance between these two
Mhm.
guys because if they want to take on the world, then what about each other? What's the end goal? I mean, they're going to split everything as they go around the world, trying to take it over. Who's going to occupy it? Neither of them have the manpower to do it. I mean,
Mhm.
everybody makes a big deal about China. It's got the biggest navy in the world. They have 400 ships. Well, they're
Yeah,
small, dumpy little, smaller than destroyers. They're
yeah, they
mostly landing craft. For
yeah,
a potential invasion of Taiwan or somewhere else. God
yeah,
knows.
they have oars. Uh,
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's like
yeah,
them building these islands, in the
mhm,
Pacific and everything.
yeah,
And the reason they're doing it is they want to
mhm,
create the opportunity to claim mineral rights and stuff in the ocean.
mhm.
But they don't even have the technology. They don't even have an offshore drilling platform in China. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
these people, they're great at copying stuff. They're great at
mhm.
stealing it too.
Yeah,
But
that too.
they're not very good at being able to implement anything. And
Yeah, that's for sure. So,
the other problem that you have is the people, a billion people in China basically are just living to survive every day still. I mean,
yeah,
a billion people are in the first world. They're not in the developed world.
mm-mm.
And so in Russia, Russia isn't in the first world country. It's a developing country,
Yeah,
maybe. Again, the majority of the people that are considered in a developed
mhm,
world are in the cities, and no one hears about or sees anything much about the cities except Moscow. And
mhm.
it's like looking at them back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and
Yeah, I was going to say that everything looks the same there. That it's
and the people, they all look fat because they eat potatoes, right? Like
that must be it. I don't know.
cabbage and
Well,
potatoes.
yeah, China's putting down roots in Africa. We talked about that before we went off the air today. And China, of course, buying up a lot of American farmland, Shane, all over the place. And
So let them buy it up and somebody make some money from them. I mean, it's a
mhm,
giggle. there's no question that what the ways around that, it's sort of stupid on their part, I think, because the more that comes out about what happened, like with COVID,
Mhm.
the more angry Americans are going to get, the less they're going to buy. That doesn't help them.
Well,
Um,
I don't think that's true at all. I don't think that, I don't,
oh no,
I,
because the Americans
yeah.
are going to, you talk about wanting what's the word about giving money to people for
Reparations.
thank you. The reparations the U.S. are going to demand from China, they just grab your government can just grab the property as part of what they need to be paid back.
Well, if something, if something's on a Walmart shelf made in China, I don't think people are going to put it back on the shelf because it was made in China. They're going to say, "Do I need this?" And I'm going to
Oh,
buy it.
I don't buy anything Chinese. I've never bought any food that I've ever seen anywhere in a store from China. I don't buy, um, basic kitchen items. If I'm going to buy a kitchen, I buy Nvidia. Sure you pay $15 for a toilet scrubber instead of 5 for something from China, but the one you buy works. It's stiff. It lasts longer. It cleans the toilet better.
Okay.
It's the same thing with kitchen items.
Mm.
I gotta stop using those two words.
I'm going to tell you,
I'm gonna start banging myself on my head.
yeah, if I had to look at everything I put in the grocery store as to where it came from, my shopping would be all day. So
You don't read what's on the label.
I don't care where it's made. I only care, do I need it?
Well, it's like Kraft Parmesan cheese, dried cheese.
Yeah.
I used to buy it until I found out they put sawdust in it, right? Like,
well, it's a filler. Come on.
It's a filler. I don't want to eat sawdust.
Well, the other thing we got to talk about, Russia controls energy across Europe. They got the pipelines, they got the gas lines, they got all that stuff going across.
I know, but
they're going from country to country to country. I mean, everybody's in Putin's pocket.
There's a lot of building going on by the Europeans for natural gas for them to buy it from the U.S. And so within 3 to 4 years, or even less, depending on how.
Yeah, we're gonna truck it across the Atlantic or the Pacific.
No, they ship it now. They ship a massive amount right now.
Well, I know they do, but you don't have to ship it from Russia. It's right there.
Oh, it's just as cheap shipping it from the U.S. in those large ships to ports.
I don't know about that.
It's the same price. You can't sell it for more. I mean, you sell it at what the market price is. So.
Well, but you got to pay the shipping costs. Come on.
Yeah, it's not that bad. Yeah, I mean, bulk rate for
they don't ship it for free.
No, I know they don't, but I'm just telling you, the bulk rate for shipping is way down. So.
Okay. Let's see. Boy, we got a bunch of comments here, Shane. We got to get to.
I can't. Yeah. Oh, here.
Yeah. Xi and Biden are both dictators in the world, of course. Nancy wants to know, has China bought land in Canada, Shane?
A massive amount. I mean,
yeah, I would think so.
They're the ones that have basically responsible for driving up the prices of property in British Columbia, and particularly in Vancouver. But now the market's frozen. The government made some crazy decisions, 3 years ago to charge any foreigners purchasing land in Canada. They got to pay a 10% tax. So that doesn't work. And so
do you really think a 10% tax will stop them?
Yeah, they scared them off. They're not buying like they were.
They're going to recoup.
No, it's way overinflated. I mean, the values of properties in Vancouver are so overinflated, it's really bad. Yeah. And well, that's the other side of this. The flip side is where are these Chinese going to go? I mean, at some point when things get bad in China, I mean, like they're coming for you bad. There's a lot of Chinese that'll just want to get up and leave, and so a lot will want to come to the U.S. and a lot of you want to come to Canada. A lot of them will go to Europe and maybe South America or Africa. Why not?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not sure how they're going to get through customs.
Well, they'll just buy their way through. I mean,
Oh,
that's
okay.
that's what they do. I mean,
This third world country has a lot of money apparently.
look, you don't have the rights to graft. I mean, graft is everywhere.
Well,
It's
that's
all
true. Yeah. Well, they're getting across the southern border paying coyotes, I guess. So
well, they're
apparently somebody's got some money. Bruce says Africa has diamonds and gold and uranium, cobalt and silver. They got a lot going for them, Shane.
And they can sell it, and anyone can go buy it from them. I mean, that's why it's
well, they'll be buying it from China. Is who they'll be buying it from.
Yeah, people can purchase it. The commodities trade, the way they do, and that's why there's a great difficulty for China and Russia to compete with America and even Canada, is because of the commodity markets. Europe as well. They're not going to give up their commodity markets to just let China and Russia have a monopoly on something. I mean, anybody that's tried that before failed. I mean, it's not. There's no benefit to it. You can't sell somebody. I mean, people are unwilling to pay a certain price at some point.
Yeah.
Or you drive them to go and find it somewhere else. So yes, it's just,
that's it.
That's why they don't include them in your inflation rate.
Well, getting back to Russia controlling Europe, waiting for the day when Russia and Germany come after Biden for bombing the Nord Stream pipeline, the Tar and Feather Party, with Biden as the main guest of honor.
No, I don't. No, that
ain't gonna happen.
We've
But
already talked about that.
It would be nice if it did, but it didn't.
No, they've got pictures of that pipeline, and the explosion blew out. It didn't blow in. So, it was Russia. They went down with a welder, undersea machine, and there's probably a pocket of gas still in the pipeline, and boom, it blew up. And they don't want to admit to being stupid and incapable, but that's what probably happened.
Yeah. So,
a small hole blew up into a very big one.
Yeah, that's for sure. So,
but it's strange because it's interesting. In all the underwater pipelines and cables built in the last 30 years, not 100 years ago, but in the last 30 years, they've been chained, chain cables, chain pipe. So if a section blows up like that, if they turn it off, they have shut-offs on it along the pipeline, and they send robots down and they unattach it, lift the piece up and replace the piece. It's the same thing.
It's not what it used to be. Yeah, it's not what it's nothing like it used to be.
It's like a water main in your,
Well, that's why you haven't heard anything more about it in the Dead Sea or wherever that was. Is not polluted, or they're not out there cleaning the oil slicks up. I don't think it was as bad as everybody said. But the other thing, Shane, we got to think about is that we got this politics coming up here. We got an election coming up. We're talking about global warming and gender change and climate and everything else, when the real issue may be economic. Between these two powers getting together, they may cause some issues for
there's no question.
Parties.
I think when the American people see a broad street view of the Democratic Party, the demolition party, as I call them, that I do. And when they see the full story of the Chinese and Russian involvement with the Democratic Party for the last 50 years, I mean, since the Cold War, since the collapse of the Soviet Union and since the death of Mao, the Democratic Party's been in their pocket. And a lot of this is probably one of the reasons why they met. That's Xi and Z and Putin is. I think they had a conversation about the U.S. and what Biden is or isn't going to do about anything. I think that was the whole point of the conversation. They needed to sit and look at each other eye to eye and say, well, if you move this piece on the European chessboard and I move this piece on the Asian chessboard, what do you think Biden is going to do? Well, I think Biden and the Ukraine is, Carter is Iran. I think what comes out for the American people to see the Biden family directly involved with the Chinese and the Russians, and it could be a main event of dimensions that we haven't seen since it, Reagan took every state except Massachusetts, right? I mean, like, really, it could, I know I espoused that in the 2020, I expected something close to that. But for some reason, the American people had a great fear that things would not improve. Well, now they know how bad that things are with the Democrats.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know that it's going to change anything because we're still going to have mail-in voting, and I don't think it's going to change.
And I don't see the benefit of Putin and Z wanting the Democrats in a recession or worse, a depression. No expendable money, and people don't have expendable money. They don't buy diamond rings. They don't buy jewelry. They don't buy, toys from China. They don't buy anything because they're trying to survive. And you step back. If you step back because your economy's in the doldrums, they're the two that are going to get hurt the most. Well, I mean, it'll be bad in my country too, but we're self-sustained. Like for the most part, so are you.
Yeah. Well, the point is that breaking the capitalist system would just turn us into a socialist country overnight, and that would happen.
Well, that's not going to happen.
Okay. No. If you say so.
Well, they got to talk about something, Tom. I mean, let's not talk about it that way because look.
Have you watched the American people in the last 4 years? What they're doing?
I can only go on what I read, and I read a lot, and I try to learn as much as I can, and analyze things in what I think is a logical way.
The Democrats are passing out free money everywhere.
Of course they are, but it's that's come to an end. I mean, with the Federal Reserve comments, that Powell made, it's not a good sight. I mean, he's talking about GDP for the U.S. of 1.2 next year and maybe 1.4 in 24, 1.4% growth in GDP. I mean, that's what I'm talking about.
They're already working. They're already working to take it down.
When everybody uses this comment about a soft landing, they're admitting that a recession's coming. Well, will the plane hit the ground or will it land soft? Well, I think it's we've both been in a recession, Canada and the United States, since February, and that's an L. An L. Yeah, and that bottom bar is going to be real long, and
it's going straight across.
That's right, and the market's proving it. The bond market's proving it. The Federal Reserve is proving it. I was doing my research today, and after Powell's comments, and the debt that he's sitting on still from April of last year when he wanted to trim it. Even now, some of the commentators are saying, "Well, he should stop this, trimming."
Yeah,
but do you know that he bought last week over $50 billion mortgage-backed securities from your main banks? I mean, they're still around, right? So this is not there's so many things that are long-term that people forget about. That happened, basically 20 years ago, right? Yeah. I mean, it's 2003, so we're talking, or 2003 was when it got wound up, but it's 23 now. Yeah. And a lot of those mortgage-backed securities that they packaged were 20 to 30-year deals. So
yeah, Nancy says, Shane, woke is Marxism. It is everywhere in the U.S. right now. I would tend to agree with her. I think it's getting worse by the day.
It's anywhere that the Democrats rule. Yeah, of course. Well, that's how they maintain their ability to rule.
Well, which is every major monetary spot in America.
Well, not every, but I mean,
New York, Chicago,
and they're all a mess.
Los Angeles,
they're all a mess. Every one of those, they're holes on your map now. They're not cities. It's a sad thing to say.
But they're not changing. They're not going to change. They're not going to say, "Oh, gee, things would be much better if we were run by Republicans." they're not. No,
I'm curious.
No, they're not. No, the 2024 or 2023 2003 election proved that, or 2022, whatever it was, with the
Yeah, no,
abortion. The Democrats came out, one issue, bang, done, over.
well, it's like I remember Reagan saying once back in the 80s when things were really bad and he was in a recession, and he had the savings and loan debacle that turned into a recession. And he said, a recession is when your neighbor, loses his job. And a depression is when you lose yours.
When you lose yours,
yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, this whole thing about, will the Federal Reserve in the United States do something? Do they want unemployment at 10% for, to stop raising rates? Well, no, it's not going to. It'll never go to 10%. Because you've got 10 million people that are illegally in your country looking for 2 or 3 jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, and they'll take anything. They'll take it for cash. They'll take it for under the table. So your unemployment rate will stay at 3% probably now forever. It's not going to change. It'll always be at that. Now, if some industry comes along, and you like to make jokes about my flying planes and everything. And here he goes. Look at this, folks. I do this because he looks like he looks like a dolphin reaching back to catch a fish. But Morgan Stanley says $1.5 trillion in the next 40 years, and potentially 5 to 40 million new jobs. I'm not making this up. This is stuff I'm reading, Tom.
I understand.
So I'm looking for a way out, a way that the U.S. and yours and ours economies can expand radically to employ 50 to 100 million people with better wages and new technology that will change the world. It's not going to be the Green New Deal. I mean, look at these windmills. You see them building those in China or Russia? No. Yeah, they're still building coal plants, right? And this is another thing. I think, they are, and I think this is another issue that people.
Well, I don't want to rain on your flying car parade, but today Ford reported a 1 point something billion loss on their electric cars.
Well, I know they did because people are starting to pay attention to the used car market. You and I covered this 6 years ago. And 6 years ago, in 2015, 16, 17, the used car market took over the new car market. And the used car market is bigger than the new car market in the U.S. It's a bigger market. Yeah. Go look. Sure. I'm not making the numbers up. More used cars are bought and sold every year in both our countries than new cars. It's just, that's a reality.
Yeah.
So why spend $75,000 for a car? Yeah. You can go buy a used 3-year-old car that was $50,000 for 30, and keep it for 2 years and sell it for 25 and go buy another one for 30. People are look, the millennials are looking at all these things. There's 72 million of them. They're the generation. They're the baby boomers. They're the ones that'll decide what happens in the next 20 and 30 years. Yeah. They're not buying stocks. They're gone. They're lost. Yeah. They got
a 401k at best.
That's right. In 1929, when the market crashed, only 20% of the American public was in the market. Yeah. It took 70 years, 1970, for 40% of the U.S. to be in the market. And then it took until 85 for that to jump to 51%. And that was because of the benefits they were getting working for public companies. Yeah. Because they had expanded that much. So it wasn't until the dot-com boom in 99 or 98, 98, the end of the century, where it was over like 70% of the American public was in the market. And you had this massive number, 60 million day traders that were trading daily. Yeah. I mean, they were running the market.
They were messing everything up.
That's right. And then, they raped and pillaged, all the market players with the dot-com companies, because there weren't a lot of stocks out on it like today. There were 50 million, maybe 20 to 50 million shares. So they tried to short them out of the market and got whacked. So then they all got together. I know because it happened in 97 and 98. I went to 3 or 4 conventions those 2 years. and all the traders were talking about, okay, what we need to do is we got to decide. You'll love the story real quick because it's relative to China and Russia in goods, all right, goods and services. So they sat down and they said, okay, we need to trap these guys because they're all sitting with 500, 1,000 shares of this and that, and it's all in margin, and they beat the shit out of us. Okay, so what? Oh, we've science and medicine. Oh my God, we've been funding these companies since the 1960s, and all of them have 50, 100, 200, 300, 400 million shares, and we own them all. We own and they're all trading at a nickel and a dime and a penny. So let's start running them, baby. And they did. So between 98, 99, they started running. Go look at it. You'll see it. And what happened is they got all these people, these day traders caught up in it. And then what happened, because they were doing well and they're using margin from the .com bubble, they pulled the trigger on it because they shorted to them and sold to them. First they sold to them going up, and then they shorted, and then it all collapsed. And then on top of that, the .com collapsed. So, I mean, I'm telling you this because America and Americans and Canadians, we've got this money thing figured out. So China and Russia are not going to come up, through the dog door in the kitchen and steal away our biscuits. All right. Sorry. Been there, done that. So this is a great conversation today because I don't think seeing, like you said, that last meeting of those two sitting in their chairs, and they were nice chairs, right? They were 18th century chairs.
Yeah, they were.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anyway, they were from the Tsar's period.
Yeah.
But
Stalin probably sat in them. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Z and Putin are sitting there, and they did not look like good buddies to me. I'm sorry. Something did not go right there, and I think it was China trying to put. Look, I've got a bigger knob than you, or I've got a bigger hammer, or I've got a bigger bat.
Yeah, maybe.
And so you got to end this war because it's not good for business.
Yeah, that's true. So, well, that brings us to our final question today, Shane. Will China attack Taiwan, rather, and will Putin take over the Ukraine? A lot of Ukrainians are dead, Shane, more than I think they're being reported.
No, I don't think that Russia will do well in the Ukraine. It'll be another Afghanistan, and they'll be leaving with their leg between their and leaving equipment because right now Putin is shooting deserters and he can't find. But so is that he's fighting a dictator too. I mean, the guy running Ukraine is just as bad as Z and Putin.
He's a slime ball.
He's a slime ball.
He's definitely a slime ball.
He's gutter snipe. All right, he's a warmonger.
Yeah.
So
he jails the opposition party, right. Jails the any of the journalists that
and he's shooting
speak out against him, and
he's shooting deserters, and he can't find people to replace it because it's a war of attrition. You look at the BBC video, and they've done. They've dug out trenches with backhoes because you can tell by the width of the trench. Yeah. And they're walking around in trenches like World War I. And so it's a war of attrition. He who runs out first of men wins. Yeah. But we'll see what happens there. Does China attack Taiwan? To what benefit? None. I mean, they just become a pariah.
They'll take it over. They take it over.
No gain. There's no gain.
Sure, there are. There's big gains. They got the chips. They've got everything that Taiwan puts out. Are you kidding me?
The Taiwanese are moving on that, baby. They're building plants. The Taiwanese, we're talking Taiwanese now. They're building plants in India, and they're building plants in Vietnam. They don't want to build them in the U.S. They don't want the attention. They'd like to, but they don't want the attention. They don't want the woke attention of the building plants in the U.S. So it's one of those.
I don't know about that, but I think they'll build wherever they feel safe.
Well, that's what they're doing, and it's cheaper. India's got it's a democracy. Yeah. It's the largest one in the world, and India is a better place for a Taiwan to do business. They have the best educated class of people in the world. The highest literacy. Oh yeah, they have the highest literacy rate of any country in the world.
Well, they may have that, but
the Indian people are very
Well, they got piss poor infrastructure to get stuff to market
Yeah, but
and back
look
and
at
forth
China.
around.
China completely did that in 20 years.
Yeah.
Oh, there I
Well,
go. I got to pinch
China,
myself.
India's been doing it. Been
No, they haven't. That's the problem.
well.
They
That's the
haven't.
point. That's what I'm saying. They haven't been doing it for 20 years. How come?
Well,
What's their
because
problem?
I really believe that they're smart enough to realize that
Mhm.
infrastructure in their country, they're waiting for something that works because it's all jungle. No, it's all jungle and
Blacktop
tropical.
works. Concrete works.
No, it doesn't because of the rains and the worst thing for blacktop is water. So
Are you
forget
telling
that.
me? Are you telling me that Montana winters and Canadian winters on roads that we can't give them that technology that yeah, put something on your
Yeah, but you
road?
started 70 years ago. I mean,
Yeah,
the
I don't
only
know.
thing ever built of any transport in India, as in China or
Yeah,
Russia, were railroads. That's all.
yeah,
In the last 400 years, that's all they built.
yeah.
Other than in the cities. But look,
Well,
I've traveled the world. I've been to a lot. I've never been to Russia. I would have liked to have gone, but I didn't
yeah.
go. But I've been to a lot of places around the world, and they all have the same problem with their governments maintaining
Yeah,
the
they do.
roads. The
Yeah, they
worst,
don't. Well,
the worst
they
rain.
have a low class. They've got the caste
That's right.
system, so nobody's making any money. So there's no money for roads or
Well, it's
anything there. So
it, it's just so bad because I've told you the story of Indonesia, how bad it is. It
well,
takes you
yeah.
2 or 3 hours to go anywhere during the day, and it takes you 2 or 3 hours to go anywhere at night. But there's no
Well, let's not
traffic. But
let's not go
but
all over the world
no,
here.
but it's the same thing in
Yeah,
China and Russia. They've got these same
yeah,
issues.
yeah.
They don't know how in the first
Mhm.
world of Europe, U.S. and Canada to maintain and continue to upgrade
Yeah.
infrastructure. They
Mhm.
build it and they're not very good at maintaining it,
Yeah.
which is another problem because what I don't see between Russia and China is a railway. Why hasn't Russia built a railway from, you know, why hasn't Russia gone and built a railway from Moscow to Beijing?
To carry what?
All the stuff they're going to trade with each other. Oh, there we go.
Well, I'll tell you why I think eventually China will attack Taiwan for a couple of reasons. The biggest reason is that Biden won't do anything. Biden won't step in. He won't put ships
It,
on the sea. He won't put Americans in trouble or in
okay,
wherever.
here's a dirty little secret. Okay, when the Kuomintang was running China and World War II and the Depression into the World War II,
That's 70
Shanghai,
years ago.
100 years ago, Chiang Kai-shek and his wife came to the United States, and she was big after the crash of buying U.S. stocks. She was big on buying U.S. bonds, and she was big on buying coupons for them. On top of that, they, like the Nazis, accumulated all the wealth of China. I mean, the massive amount of jade, historical
Where are
artifacts,
you going with
art.
this?
Well, I'm going to tell you what China wants. It's a
Well,
cultural. It's a cultural thing.
we,
So,
we
and all the gold and all the silver. And so when the Kuomintang left mainland China and went to Taiwan, they took everything with them. Taiwan is the only country in the world that their currency is backed with gold
mhm.
and silver. So the only one. Well, Switzerland tried, but I don't
Yeah,
know if they're still
I
holding
think
it.
they still got some. I think they're still
But
doing
the,
it.
the
But
point
anyway,
is, it's a
yeah,
cultural thing. The
yeah.
Chinese
Well, they're
want
two
all.
small countries too, which you can do that with gold in a
That's
small
right.
country, obviously.
But the Chinese people, or the communist people, or
Hmm.
the Communist People's Republic of China, they,
Yeah.
they want all that cultural stuff back. To them, it's all been stolen.
Well,
And
then they'll go
those
get it.
Taiwanese aren't real. The Taiwanese aren't really Chinese.
Well, they'll
They're
go get it then.
they're a cross between
Yeah.
Mongolian and Chinese and Koreans and
Yeah.
Japanese. I mean, they're inbreds.
Well, she and Putin want exactly the same thing. Putin wants the old China, the old Russia back,
Soviet.
and
Yeah, but he's not.
he wants the old Soviet Union, and
You,
she wants the same thing. He wants the old
you
China
think
back.
that Putin's going to go after all the Kazakhstans and Turkmenistans and Uzbekistans and
If he's
Afghanistan?
successful in Ukraine,
Oh, please.
maybe. Why wouldn't he? Why not?
Because it's a 21st century dog. I mean,
You don't understand this.
Have the manpower.
He doesn't need the manpower. He's not using manpower on Taiwan or on Ukraine. Rather, he's blasting apartment buildings. He's winning
the front lines are. It's a World War I war of attrition.
Please.
Well, then what we're being told by credible people like the BBC and European journalism.
We're being shown what Zelensky lets the press see, is what you're seeing.
Well, it's trench warfare, so that's what it is. So that's a war of attrition, and there's enough coming out of Russia about like I told you, people not refusing to be drafted, and I mean, look what's happened in France. When you talk about uprisings, I mean, all the president of France said is we got to try to solve this problem 20 years from, with retirement.
She's going to charge you more for Social Security. So
right, but you can't retire till you're 65 instead of 63. And the whole country is, and it's not the people that have the problem; it's all the young people. So everywhere you look in the world,
it's the young people because they don't want their parents living in their basement.
Yeah, that's a good one, Eagle Man. I like that.
No, that's the whole problem there.
Well, that's a big problem because 4 years ago, the Chinese government passed laws, the Communist Party, that the millennials were responsible for their parents because right now we're hitting a tipping point. 60% of the people in China are now over 50, and they can't afford to care for them all. So they saw this 3 or 4 years ago, and they passed a law that when their parents retire, they have to care for them. Yeah. So this is becoming another issue for those 400 million middle class developing Chinese who are going, wait, I want to go buy a new car. Well, you first you got to add a room on for your parents, but I can't.
Yeah, good luck with that. So
that's right. There you go.
All right, I think we whipped this dog enough, Shane.
It's been fun though. I mean, I want to beat this dog.
There we go.
Because it won't bark. This dog will not. Putin and Z taking over the world will not bark.
This dog won't hunt. Yeah, there we go.
Or hunt, but in Canada, we worry about him barking.
Well, we'll talk more about this on our Saturday morning show. Tom and Shane live on the radio every Saturday, 8 to 11 a.m. Mountain Time. Listen live at kmmsam.com. All you got to do is click listen now. There's no sign up. There's nothing to join. There's no email. There's no cost. There's no who are you and why are you here? There's none of that. There's no interrogation. If you come and listen to the show, Shane will show up and wash your car. He's down with that. He loves to be a good Samaritan people. So, and if you missed any of our past shows, they're also Tom and Shane past shows at kmmsam.com. Just click on Tom and Shane's past shows. You'll get our audio and our video shows all over there at one extremely low price, which is free. Did I say it was free? I think it's free. I'm pretty sure it's free.
Now you have. So you covered the nut. You did it.
I think it's free. Well, one more thing I got to cover, though, of course, subscribe. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. We'd like to welcome some of our new subscribers. Thank you for joining us. Ring the notification bell. You'll always be notified when we're on, no matter what time zone you are in. And like us, leave a comment. Let us know if you like this kind of conversation or topics you'd like for us to cover. We would be happy to do that for you. And of course,
right. and we want to get to the money ball game in this podcast business. So,
there you go.
There you go.
Do it.
Please try and spread the word about Tom and Shane and help us out. We, the first big cross is 1,000 people, so that's a big number for us to get to, and
we're almost halfway there.
We're almost halfway there. So if you can help us out, I'm begging. All right, I'm retired and I'm in a managed lifestyle, so I'm begging for your help.
Begging for our help.
I won't get on my knees, but I'll bark like a dog if that helps.
All right. And he will too. So And we're here every Tuesday and Thursday, 5 p.m. Mountain Time, as usual. So we want to thank everybody for joining. Thanks for all the comments. Great comments today. Great conversation. And we will see you on our next podcast, which will be next Tuesday. And you can listen to us on the radio this coming Saturday, 8 to 11, KMMSAM.com.
Anywhere in the world. Just need a laptop or a cell phone. That's right.
As long as you can fog a mirror, you can hear us.
That's right.
All right. That's it. Bye for now.